We're live. Ha! See? And this is how we start the night off right here. Some of y'all need this. Big old giant cup of shut the fuck up. So, we are at episode 8 of Ultimate Guide to Spooky Empire, and this is going to be a fun one because this is going to be an episode entirely about the guest list. Now, if you look up here, there should be the Showcase app, which is the two little tags. It's like two little yellow tags. You can tap that. I actually uploaded the flyer that has like all the guests on there on like Imgur, I think it's called, Imgur, whatever it is. So if you click that, you'll see the guest list, so you'll see actually who we're talking about here. And of course, I'm also going to put over here somewhere, I never know where I'm going to put them, a subscribe button so you keep up with our updates. And I'm also going to put the link down here, we're going to go link crazy tonight, link to the other episodes in this series. And I want to take a minute to plug, and I want to thank him so much, Morbid Movies. If you go to morbidmovies.com, and again, there'll be a link somewhere here, Morbid Movies, they helped us out with a lot of the information about the guests tonight that you will hear, that you will not hear anywhere else. Now, what Morbid Movies is, they show a lot of grindhouse movies. They do this out of, I want to say, Lake Worth, closer to South Florida, but it's on the Floridian coast. If you go to morbidmovies.com, I think tomorrow night, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're doing, Godzilla, the original Godzilla, and they're doing it grindhouse setting, and I think it's like $10 for popcorn and blah blah. Don't quote me on that, but he put this amazing whole thing together. So morbidmovies.com, they are a sponsor tonight. Thank you. Go visit them. Okay, tonight, before we get into this whole thing, say hi to Patrick again.
Hello.
And we got Bruce apparently. And we have Miss October 2015 from Girls of the Finest, Miss Rebecca.
Oh, 2016.
Yeah, there's applause there somewhere. I'm too lazy to click the button. But yes, calendar model. If you go to girlsofthefinest.com, Miss October. So, and yeah,
you gotta figure a Miss October has gotta be a mark of distinction.
Well, I wanted
it's important.
Yeah.
Everybody loves October. I mean, come on.
Wow.
Okay, so like I said, if you look up here, there's the tag. You'll see the flyer. The one disclaimer I do want to give in big, bold, capital letters: this is the most accurate information as far as our research, but the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of Spooky Empire. We are not official spokespeople for Spooky, so anything we say tonight doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% official. So. But it is as far as we know.
Petey, please don't ban us or have us killed or anything like that.
Well, in case we say something that isn't necessarily spooky friendly.
I saw that video you guys made, man. It wasn't cool. Wasn't cool.
Because there's some people we're not going to be so nice about, some of the guests, and we're going to be straight up honest, and they can't say it. So, okay. Before we get into price list, which I know a lot of people are asking, how much are autographs, how much are photo ops, so on and so forth. I want to go over some of the do's and don'ts, and I want to provide links, and I'll be putting I'll put a list right over here. There'll be a nice little list of basic etiquette and tips that we've gone over in past episodes. For example, how to handle lines, Spooky TV, because a lot of these celebrities will be on Spooky TV, and what that is, that'll be over here. God, I'll get this pointing thing down at some point. Celebrity etiquette, how not to be rude to them. How, don't accost them outside of their table, what sort of things you should ask them, how to ask something in a panel, line etiquette, stuff like that. All that's going to be over here somewhere. And, of course, the VIP party, tips on that, tips on, when you actually see them eating, for example, stuff like that. So those are things you want to keep in mind, and I'll have those over there so you guys can click those at your leisure. We have found out that all the guests will be there all 3 days except for Burt Reynolds. Burt's kind of old now, and Burt had a stroke. When was he in the hospital? Patrick, do you remember? Wasn't that long ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, and of course they kind of try to keep it below the radar because theoretically he's still looking for work, but. Like I said, we'll probably talk about this before, but I saw a picture of him from Wizard World several months ago, and for lack of a better term, he's turned a corner in aging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're 79. You have a stroke. You're not
Yeah,
exactly looking in your prime
yeah,
of
exactly,
progression.
exactly. But something to discuss though is people be aware of that it's not going to be it's not going to be Boogie Nights Burt Reynolds there this weekend or anything like that. I mean, he seems lucid and everything else, but he's
Oh yeah,
very
yeah.
thin.
No, I watched. There was a panel he did at that show you were talking about up in was it Wizard World in Pennsylvania. I don't
I
remember
believe so.
where
Yeah,
actually, but he's still just he's Bert. He's
yeah.
still Bert, but he just you feel bad because like I said, he had a stroke, and so
He's he's gonna be in first gear, and
yes,
you gotta if you're gonna approach him, you gotta treat him like that.
yeah. But he is scheduled only for Friday and Saturday. However, if his health allows, he is going to stay Sunday. So let's cross our
Oh.
fingers and hope you guys don't overload him. If you guys don't overload him, he'll be there all 3 days. Everybody else will be there all 3 days.
Let's see. He's got Spooky Empire on Halloween day and night. I can't possibly see how he's not going to be overloaded, even if they put him in the presidential suite with double guards on him.
No, that's very true.
If they want him to have a rest, they need to book him in another hotel.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm very curious to see how this pans out because Burt Reynolds, as you all know, really hasn't done the concert yet, and this is his. Actually, I want to say third convention. I want to say he did Wizard World in Chicago. I think.
Well, I hope his representation explained to him the difference between a generalist convention and a horror convention.
Exactly. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he handles a horror con as opposed to Wizard World, because those are two
But
completely
by the
different
same token,
demographics.
if he's as good humored as I've always been led to believe he is, he might get a kick out of it.
I think so, and that's something I'm going to get to in a minute. But I mean, if you go to YouTube and just his panels and Q&As that he did at the Wizard Worlds, they're on YouTube, so you guys can get an idea of exactly what to expect. So you can go over and check that out.
And if there's a question you want to ask him, watch it. Maybe they asked him at that panel, so you don't need to ask it.
Exactly.
Which the theme we'll be talking about a lot.
Yes, we will. And I know Rebecca over there is just begging to touch his mustache.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's a mission for me and my mom actually. So.
Oh yeah, she's actually got the what?
Cosmopolitan spread. Yeah, so I'm gonna get him to sign that.
I have to avoid if I do have any sort of interaction with him, I can never tell him my last name because my mother was one of the attorneys that represented Lonnie when they had their divorce in Florida.
Oh.
And my mom actually got to cross-examine him and have a deposition with him, and actually got him to pout. Is in her own words.
Oh.
I know. I was just like, "How was it?" He was like, "Reminded me of your dad." I'm like, "That's not good." He's like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah.
But I remember
Wow,
he was being grilled and legal and all that folderol whatever. So I thought I'll get that little bit of trivia out of the way. Because I certainly can't tell him, "Hey, you met my mom. She nailed your ass to the wall legally."
Oh.
But it's interesting that you mentioned Lonnie Anderson, because one of the things I did find, because there was, and you guys may remember this, there was a huge argument on on the Spooky fan page, because they were like, people were like, well, why is Burt Reynolds here? He's not a horror fan. Which we won't even get into Deliverance, because there was a whole argument whether that's thriller or horror, revenge rape. But anyway, enough said about that. He is actually doing a horror movie now, and that's one of the things that one of the tips that we do give you guys is these celebrities are there to promote themselves and promote their latest work. So by all means, ask them about their latest work. I mean, Bert's answered God knows how many questions about Smokey and the Bandit. How many Trans Ams did you use in the movie? You know, everybody's asked that question. He's doing a movie called Hollow Creek. It's a horror movie, and I don't know if it's going to be released this year or next year. But if you go to Facebook, there's a Facebook page, and there's actually a contest going on right now. I checked it this afternoon with Burt Reynolds stuff. You can win stuff of his. I forget exactly what it was. Something from one of his movies. I don't remember what it was. But it's Hollow Creek. Hey, what?
Excuse me while I write that down.
Yeah, no, what was it? It was Hollow Creek Movie. I think, yeah, it's facebook.com/Hollow Creek Movie. So check that out, definitely. And
Cool.
that's one of the tips that we can definitely give you guys is before you meet any of these guests, it would really, really give you a major advantage if you did a little research. A lot of these celebrities, they have Twitters, and Twitter is where they post a lot of their current projects. They post their personal thoughts. That's kind of a direct one-on-one with them. You can go to YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you can see interviews that they've done, so you know what questions they've been asked before. I mean, if you can find an answer on YouTube, why are you going to ask them in person?
Yeah.
You know? There's Google News. You know, I've asked some of my greatest questions because, you know, if you put their name into Google News, now granted you have to look to see what they're talking, what's current. You know, and then there's TMZ and blah blah blah. But I mean, for example, Julian Sands, he does a lot of stuff for Harold Pinter, who is a poet, and he does a lot of readings for him. And if you like Harold Pinter's poetry, that's something you guys could talk about as opposed to asking about Warlock for the 10th time.
Yeah.
So that's something else to keep in mind. I mean, well, Patrick, you know what? Patrick is like the king of actually asking not so typical questions. Patrick, what's your secret?
There's two simple things. One, you go through your own mind about everything you've seen this celebrity in, and don't go to the obvious. But the trick is, though, is that don't cheat your way through it too. Like, I don't want people to think, okay, I'm just going to Google them. I'm going to ask them a random question about this movie I saw 30 years ago. You still have to ask them something about that you particularly liked or you particularly was interested in. And the trick is a combination of scrolling through their biography or filmography and being all like, oh yeah, that movie, I forgot about that movie. Oh yeah, I'd love to ask him about this or whatever. That's generally what it is. You can't fake it. You can out to just say, all right, I'll ask about this or whatever. And also, too, remember, it can backfire as well, too. You could ask them about something, and it might be something that they're not fond of. You had that experience with Baldwin. Or I think you told me that experience with Baldwin.
Yes.
I guess if you mention the film My Bodyguard, which I personally love, and I would have gone up to him and geeked out over, I guess he would tells you to eat shit and die.
Pretty much. Don't ask Adam Baldwin about My Bodyguard. No,
yeah, which baffles me because it's a wonderful film. But again, too, you know, what happened to that actor?
He's focusing on Firefly.
Yeah, what happened to that actor or whatever on that show may not have been good to them or whatever. So you've got my ratio is I think you've got about a 70 to 30% chance of getting them to light up, do a combo breaker, and be oh wow, you're asking me about that. Oh, that's a fascinating thing. With John Aston. I knew for years that when he was in college, he was studying mathematics. They switched over. Then when I got out of here, I just asked him a simple question. So, do you still keep up with mathematics? And he paused and sat down. He said, well, you know, actually, I teach college now and acting, and I do actually go over to the mathematics department and just sort of hang out with them, and I kind of talk about it. I do Sudoku, and he began to rattle off about some mathematical theory and whatever, and the pleasure for me was not so much, you know, getting something from him is again giving them some delight back. And I think that's the trick. What you want to do is when you're asking them something, you're trying to ask them something they haven't asked before. It's almost like you're trying to give them a gift, and if they accept it, they accept that offer. Then they're gonna give back to you, and they're gonna be enamored with you. I mean, you still might have just your 45 seconds of who to make it out to, but the point of the matter is when you walk away, it's gonna be cool. And you know what? You see them the rest of the day. They might bump into you. Oh, hey, how's it going? Because they'll be
much more receptive to you. Yes.
Yeah, they'll remember you. You know, if you see them that night, the VIP.
You'll be just a fan.
Exactly. So that's kind of where it is. But like I said, it can backfire a little bit. So everybody has a Gary Busey story from 2 years ago. And it's funny because his table was littered with every single project he'd ever done, to his credit. And of course, I asked him about Hawaii Five-0. In 1998, he shot a 1-hour pilot for a Hawaii Five-0 pilot that didn't get picked up, but it had all the surviving members of the cast come on into it, and he was going to be like the second in command or whatever. And it was just like, do you have anything for Hawaii Five-0? And he's like, what? You know, and it's like, Hawaii Five-0. Like, nah, that was a piece of shit. Yeah. And
but you got a good story out of it, so
I did. And it's like he sneered and he turned as if he meant to get up and storm away, but he was just like, you know, that that mouth breathing rage thing that he had going on, and yeah.
You know what? But when it comes to Gary Busey, it doesn't matter what you ask him because you're always pretty much going to get that response. You
Pretty
know?
much. Pretty much.
but but it's interesting that Patrick brings that up because for example, Danny Trejo. Now you can ask him all about Machete and his work at Robert Rodriguez and whatnot. But did you guys know, for example, and I went and dug up a couple of tidbits on a lot of the guests tonight, that he runs a taco truck. Danny Trejo actually has a taco truck, and actually,
No kidding.
I was hoping he would bring it to Spooky, but apparently he's done it in California for a while. And from what I hear, they're pretty good. So he's got a taco truck. It's you can ask him about his recipe for tacos, you know, and that's the whole thing that will set you apart from the guy that like, oh, Mexican, you know, he's heard that 50 million times. You'll be just one in a crowd. You ask about tacos, hey, you might get a good recipe out of it. You know, something to consider.
I
like that.
I wouldn't ask I wouldn't ask him this if I was waiting in line for autographs or whatever. But if I was doing his panel or whatever beforehand, I would actually ask him, would you be all right talking about your time in prison? Because
I know he's very passionate about that.
He's very passionate about that. He's very passionate about the rehabilitation aspect to it. He's very passionate about kids, keeping kids out of gangs and that whole lifestyle and all that. He's a very big proponent. He's a big proponent of keeping kids out, but he's also a big proponent of rehabilitation. Of once you've done your time, you deserve your second chance.
Yes.
So
Rebecca, I mean, have you met any of the guests on the guest list?
No, actually the only person that I've had any type of interaction with was Barry Bostwick.
And actually, because I was doing a little recon and asking people about their fan experiences, I've heard a lot of good things about the guy.
Okay, it wasn't in a celebrity setting, and I think that's the reason.
Which is even better.
This really gets me, though. I was working for America Online, and when you work for
they used to employ people?
Yeah, I know. You're in America. I know, it's weird. So I was working for America Online, and I was actually my last week of work there, and everyone had celebrities come through the phone system. So, like, you know, you'd heard across the board when somebody had a celebrity, and I was the only person who hadn't had one. I was getting ready to quit in a week, and I was really upset. And all of a sudden, my phone rang. It was like 11 o'clock on a Friday night, and it came up, and it said Barry Bostwick, and I was like, bullshit. That's not the real Barry Bostwick. But it was back when, you know, you didn't have people manage your account. You managed your own, you know, your own email accounts and your internet service. And he answered the phone and he goes, hi, there's Barry Bostwick. I need to update my credit card. I'm like, oh. And I just started melting in my chair because, you know, how do you react? I have to remain professional. And I remembered that, you know, you have to have that relaxed interaction with them. You can't, like, fangirl on the phone or it's just going to be totally unprofessional. And I just sat and talked to him for a few minutes, and, you know, and I'm sitting there freaking out. My coworkers had no idea what was going on. They're like, we don't even know who that is. I'm like, you're not my friend anymore. And
I do not know who it is.
I know. I was like, really?
I'm American.
Yeah, I know. Well, they're not my friends anymore anyway. So, but
You're
you know,
dead to me.
I had a really good interaction with him, and it left a really good impression with me that, you know, they have to pay bills too, and they have to buy groceries and do normal things. So.
And that's the big thing. People forget that celebrities are actually human.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you bring up Barry Bostwick because while I was doing a little bit of recon on him, I just went into YouTube and typed in Barry Bostwick, and it's so funny the first thing that came up. Apparently, there's an 80s video. There's an 80s aerobicized video of him and a bunch of chicks on stage doing aerobics to Jump for My Love, the Pointer Sisters song.
Oh my God.
It's so 80s and so bad. It's glorious. Absolutely glorious. But that's the beauty of, you know, looking up things on YouTube. I am dying to ask him what the hell was going on, how much Aquanet was going on with the feathered hair, with you know.
Wow.
But I found that on him, and the video is hysterical. So if you look up Barry Bostwick, was it Jump for My Love? I think it's called. But he did it like back in 1984, and he's hamming it up. But it's a classic.
Wow.
It's definitely a classic. Yeah. But I wanted to also bring up not even just Twitter and Google News and stuff like that. For those of you that are on Reddit, they do AMAs, Ask Me Anything, and a lot of celebrities will do that to promote their latest project. I mean, you can go to Reddit and type in their name, and a lot of times they'll do their AMAs about their passion projects if they're passionate about a charity, for example. And these are the things that you want to know. I mean, you may want to know that oh God, I don't know, Danny, like we said with Danny Trejo and his talk about prison rehabilitation. That's the sort of stuff that you'll actually see them talk about on Reddit and AMAs. And so, and again, your questions that you may want to know may be asked in those AMAs. You may find out something in those AMAs that you could talk about them, talk to them about, at Spooky. So it's something else to consider. So personally, like I said, Twitter, Google News, Reddit AMA, and of course the old standby is IMDb. Not only can you look up what their latest project is, there's usually trivia bits about them. There's like mini biography. You guys may share the same birthday. You may have grown up in the same area. Who knows? And on top of that, for each actor, there's also a message board. So there's stories from other people, stuff like that. So there's a wealth of information. You have the internet. So use it. Don't ask Burt Reynolds about Turd Ferguson, which we know we're going to see 50 million times, but just, I'm sure he doesn't want to hear it again. Okay, let's see.
If you're interested in Burt, it might help if you bought his book and read it.
Exactly. He is coming out with a new book. That's true. His memoirs. I think his second one, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, it never hurts whatsoever to ask him the autographed copy of the book and
which he'll probably be selling at the show.
Probably, and I'd almost be willing to bet that maybe he's charging X amount for a standard autograph, but I think maybe if you buy the book, maybe there's a deal for an autograph version of the book. So
that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, I've seen it happen before, but can't guarantee it. Won't guarantee it,
but still, it's very likely. It's very, very likely. All right, so I wanted to go through the prices of the autographs. I did not find the autographs for Pat Priest, who was Marilyn Munster, and I didn't find it for Lorenzo Henry, who is the guest from Fear of the Walking Dead. I'm assuming that's going to be something AMC controlled. I'm not really sure. And these are the prices I found for your item signed or an 8x10 signed by them, whatever. This is not necessarily an autograph and a photo. Now, I'm pretty sure 98.9% of them will be doing, photos along with autograph at the table. Don't quote us, but that usually tends to be the case. Occasionally,
which is one of the bonuses of Spooky Empire, as opposed to, Wizard World or the regular standard conventions, which usually has a lockdown with froggy photos or somebody comparable.
Yeah. And so there may be one or two, there's usually maybe one or two guests that specifically only do the professional photos, which is something else I'll get into in a minute. The group photos, they won't do group photos at the table. For example, the Wonka kids, if you're going for the whole Willy Wonka group, you're going to have to get a professional photo op, and you're probably going to have to pre-book that. As opposed, you won't really be able to get it at the table at the show. So that's something else to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I know people are clamoring for autograph prices, so this is what I found, and and like I said, this is research done by ourselves and Morbid Movies as well. Skeet Ulrich, who has done Scream, and he was in it As Good as It Gets, so on and so forth. He's 50, and that was he did that at Frightmare, so it'll be comparable. Skeet Ulrich was 50, Nev Campbell 75, Rachel True in The Craft and such, she's 30. Patricia Quinn from Rocky Horror Picture Show, she's 30. That was at Comic Palooza this past year. Little Nell, 30. Barry Bostwick, 30. That was at Fanboy. He was actually at Fanboy Expo in Tampa recently. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Burt Reynolds, we've got a bit of a discrepancy here. At Wizard World Philly, he was 50. And 75 in Chicago. So I'm not sure. So you're going to figure between 50 and 75. Like I said, the photo op will probably be extra. George Romero is 50. Now, the thing is with George Romero, I'm not sure, because this was from Fan Expo in Canada. I don't know if that's 50 Canadian dollars, by which count it would be 35 American, or if it's 50 just regardless of what country you're in. I'm not sure. Julian Sands is 40. That was from Texas Frightmare. Tony Todd is 30. Oh wow, Niagara Falls has a Comic-Con. I was unaware of that.
Hmm.
I suppose everywhere has a Comic-Con now. But Tony Todd was 30. Malcolm McDowell was 40. Butch Patrick is 20. Tom Savini's 20. Danny Trejo, again, this was from Canada, so it was 50, which I'm not sure if that's Canadian, which would be 35 American, or if it's 50. But he's been to Spooky before, and I want to say it was about 30.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 35 American on that one.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely a guy that would rather sell more to more people as opposed to, yeah.
He's someone who loves his fans, yes.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Because he has fans. He's a guy that never thought in his life that he would have a bunch
the guy
of.
is so appreciative of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got William Ragsdale, Stephen Jeffries, and Amanda Bierce, all the Fright Night reunion. They're all 25. Now I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Is it John Cassier or Casser?
I've always heard Casser.
Casser. Okay. John Casser, the Crypt Keeper, and I'm sorry, John, if you're watching. He's 20. Miko Hughes is 20. Lisa and Louise Burns, 60 for both, and that was a Texas Frightmare. And the only thing we could find on the Wonka Kids, I think they had a reunion at Chiller not too long ago, and it was $199 for the 5 of them. I don't know if they do individual. I'm not really sure how that works.
I imagine they would, but I mean.
No, but I don't know why anyone would want
just who's going to want Augustus Gloop and not Veruca Salt, you know?
Yeah, that's a
very
good point.
Paris Themin, Mike TV, way back in the early MegaCon days, I actually stopped by his table, and I got a picture, which I spilled some water on it 3 years later, and it washed away completely.
Oh.
But I still have his golden ticket. He made.
Really?
He also,
oh, so you'll have that.
Yeah, I still got it now, but he had a perfect replica made of the golden ticket, and he signed that to me as well too. So I still have that.
That's really cool. That's something to consider. They may have those to sell at the show.
If I got all of them autographed in a golden ticket, I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Oh, that'd be worth a hell of a lot of money. Okay. Let's see. And like I said, Lorenzo Henry and who was the other one? Pat Priest. We don't know either on those. I'm going to assume the standard about 30, 35. Don't quote me. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I hope that those prices help you guys as far as the autographs, like I said, and as far as the photos, not sure how much those are going to be. I do have a suggestion as far as if you're going to get the professional photo ops. And I'm just going to say 2 words, and I know these two will get it. John Barrowman. And I got silence from these two.
No. Well, you hope you get a John Barrowman, you know?
Well, what I'm saying is that when you go in for a professional photo op, you don't want to look like you're standing next to a cardboard cutout.
No.
Ham it up a little bit. And, of course, be polite and ask them beforehand. I mean, I don't have it with me, but if you watched previous episodes, you saw the picture I got with Robert Englund. That's a beautiful photo. That's not just like, no, that's a moment. And so, I mean, a lot of these celebrities, for example, if you get a professional one with Danny Trejo, don't just stand next to him. You got Danny Trejo next to you. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Ham it up, be respectfful, but ham it up. Again, I think a lot of these guys will do the same thing. But
and Spooky being a little smaller again than the mega conventions, you'll probably have a little more of a window of time. And again, if you go on in there and an improv, if you make an offer, they will more often than not they will accept, because they get bored too of just sort of standing there like a waxwork as it is. But by the same token, a lot of people don't do it. By the same token, anybody watching this is probably savvy enough to know how much would be too much or whatever, Don't go in there with the shirt off and say, like, I want you to rub my nipples,
Sadly, unfortunately, we have to say that because people will do that.
Yeah, people will absolutely do that. But, again, too, I mean, go on in, have fun, Try to have fun, and but also, too, remember, it's not a meet and greet. You can't go in there and say, like, hey, Bert, how you doing? As it is. They're going to shove you in and shove you out. So basically, when it's your turn, you're on.
Yeah.
You are on, and you do whatever it is that you're going to do, and it's just like hey, Mr. Reynolds, might we do this? And you're like, oh, okay, oh, I get it, whatever, and they may laugh. I have a great picture with William Shatner because I walked on in, and I was like, hey, Bill, thanks for waiting.
All of your pictures are great. I mean, the ones you have with Stan Lee. If you've got a picture of you with Stan Lee, holding a picture of you with Stan Lee, holding a picture of you with Stan Lee, it's like the whole Inception thing.
They will let you get away with a lot more than what you might think. At least a bit of my presence. Until I'm sure eventually somebody will screw the pooch and be all whatever. And now they are putting asterisks on photo ops saying the guest has the right to decline your request or whatever.
There's gonna be one asshole to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, somebody wants, something ridiculous. But again, have fun. Absolutely have fun. And again, be honest. Don't try to create something just so it'll be weird or funny or go viral or whatever. Yeah, again, internet fame is the new fool's gold. But again, if you're a fan of this person, I mean a real fan of this person, okay, express it. That's really what it's all about. Express it, have fun with them.
Don't be scared of them. They're people too,
Yes.
So a lot of people freeze up and you get all fangirly or whatever. For
And
example,
by the same token, if that's not your scene, if you're perfectly happy with just standing next to him and going like this way, then fine too. Don't feel pressured. You gotta make something crazy.
No. It's just these are the tips we've passed along because I mean all of us have had some amazing stories over the years that we cherish for a lifetime. We've created memories because we've taken that extra step and just like, okay, let's not just go up and.
I brought my Return of the Killer Tomatoes John Astin figure, which he had not seen one of those, I think, in about 20 years. He said he was like, oh my god, and then he began to talk about just that movie and everything else. You remember Igor? Yeah, he was. He began to talk to me, oblivious of this was a photo shoot. It was supposed to be in, out, in, out.
And that's very likely what will end up happening.
Yeah.
Hey, Rebecca, you're very quiet over there.
I know.
You're biting your lip. Don't be afraid to jump in and shut us up here.
I am like soaking in so much information because in so many ways this is a very delicate territory for me because this is going to be one of the first cons that I go to that I am going to actually be talking to more celebrities. And I normally get so overwhelmed in the costume area or sometimes in the panels. I don't ask questions in the panels, but actually interacting with celebrities, so I'm taking in a lot of this too.
Yeah, and this also works if like you're like I said, if you happen to be in the same restaurant as Malcolm McDowell, these are like things. Yeah. Oh, Malcolm something. Yeah, Malcolm something. Which actually leads us into some of the notes I've come up with because I did a whole bit of a poll and asked people for their experiences and those of you that sent me your celebrity experiences, thank you. I wanted people to get a general idea of what they could expect with someone. Let's say, I mean, like John Kasser, I don't know how many interviews there are of him on YouTube, but these will give you an idea of like what to expect. And I don't want to say what celebrities to avoid, but some, for example, I don't know if I'm going to say his name. Some tend to be really moody. Like what we were talking about, Gary Busey. Gary Busey isn't a guest this year, but this is someone that tends to be very, very moody. So you might want to proceed with caution. So depending on their past experience.
Ask around. Yeah. If they're there for all 3 days, like find out what the word is on the convention street,
Oh, Spooky Small Con, people will tell you.
Yeah, by Friday night at the poolside, the word will be, who's cool and who's not.
Oh yeah, and let's see. Well, John Kasser. Let's see. From what I've understood, he really embraces the Crypt Keeper, so he will often say things as the Crypt Keeper. Now, what would be really cool, and I don't know if he does it, if he did voice greetings, like voicemail greetings. I know, like George Lowe does that in Space Ghost voice. Can you imagine the Crypt Keeper doing a voicemail?
I can't imagine him not doing it. I know so many of the voice guys will do it because that's it's easy money for a lack of better term.
Yeah,
As it is.
yeah.
And as long
Some
as
people don't embrace it as much as others do.
yeah, the trick is the timing. If they don't have a gig waiting for them on Monday, and they might be afraid of putting some vocal stress, they could do
That's
it too.
true.
And it might depend on the character. I don't know how much stress that the Crypt Keeper does in his voice. I mean, there are some voice actors that can do absolutely guttural, insane voices, but it's nothing to them. It's just they could do it all day. And there are some people that can only do a character that they're famous for just a few minutes at a time, and then they're done for like a whole day.
Oh yeah.
You know, Pete Docter, though his voice of Roz, the reason Roz wasn't in Monsters University was he was just like, I can't do the voice, you know.
Okay, well, we got John Casser here, and it says, often will say things in the Crypt Keeper voice. Apparently at one convention, they had John doing most of the announcements over the weekend. It was surreal to hear the Crypt Keeper telling us the vendor room would be closing in 5 minutes. Can you imagine hearing that at Spooky? How cool would that be? Someone messaged me and told me how they wrote him on like Facebook asking for career advice, and he replied, and he apparently was very genuine and sincere, and it made a huge difference. So apparently this guy is incredibly fan friendly. And that's something good to know. If you're a fan of the Crypt Keeper, you're going to have a good experience. That's good to know.
I will say this, either in person or if he's doing a panel, because I've moderated several panels with voiceover actors, and especially the voiceover actors, right out of the gate, I just say, you know what, before our audience asks it, we're just going to get 3 chestnuts out of the way. How'd you get your start? What's your favorite project? And how does one become get into voice acting? And then I may turn around and say, what you do understand is, how can I take work away from you?
That's a good question, actually.
Which breaks the ice. And I will say this to everyone: the answer is, it's always gonna be a variant of this. Don't be a voice actor, be an actor.
That's actually a good point.
That's you know, they will all say it in various different ways, but it's all going to boil down to, yeah, don't be a voice actor. If you do cartoon and goofy voices, the trick is to be an actor, and then let the rest follow suit. So there we go. So you can ask him something else. You're welcome.
That's actually it's a good tip there, actually. Okay, and the next one I had listed here was Tom Savini. Now the thing about Tom Savini, he actually gets very interested.
Oh no.
Woo.
Interested in prop. John, they actually made. I don't watch The Walking Dead. Apparently there was the governor. There's some big arm thing, or maybe it's Merle's thing. I don't know. There's some big prop that they made from The Walking Dead, and apparently Tom Savini stopped them and was obsessing over it, and actually ended up buying one from them. You know, and that's not unheard of. A buddy of mine actually recreated a Hellboy mask out of, was it silicone? Might have been silicone, I don't remember. But he recreated a Hellboy mask, and Tom Savini stopped by and was going nuts over it, and that's not unheard of. So he loves talking about his special effects work. He loves looking at props, things like that. So that's something to remember. And Tom Savini is one of those guests that you will very often see outside of his table. Tom doesn't like to sit at his table all too long. He's always wandering all over the place.
I have noticed that.
So that's something else to keep in mind. Yeah, you see him everywhere. That's one of, and Spooky is one of those conventions out away to some tiny little room. But Tom is a regular at Spooky, so he's there a lot, and he's often walking around and mingling with other people, or like he's in the workouts very often. And the other thing is, he can be a little moody, so don't take it personally if you catch him on an off moment. So that's just something else to keep in mind.
Again,
Rebecca, you've got this face on you.
No, I was like, wow, I'm totally going to approach him, and then I was like, but he's moody. Never mind.
Well,
no, but it's if you tend to keep it, like I said, you know, because he
you
really
are a pretty girl. You get a +2. Understand? Okay, like
that's true.
Attractive girls at all conventions are going to get a +2. Also, you get a +2 if you have a very cute toddler kid of the right age. With that, sometimes you might get the, you know what, I will get up from behind the table and grab a picture with your whole family. You know, that's that's something the audience.
Before I get to the other ones. Oh, John he just asked a question. You know, it's Merle. I hate you. Okay, fine. It's Merle. It's something on his arm. I don't watch the show. It's something on his arm. It's I don't know. Anyway, Tom
Yeah, but
Savini absolutely loved him.
Yeah, but one thing about Savini is yes, he wants to talk about shop because
Okay.
that's his deal.
Yes, that's what he loves to do.
I would caution everybody. I would avoid asking questions about his direction of the remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yes.
It was not a good experience for him, or actually George Romero. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, someone did message me, and George Romero, it is a sore spot for him that he lost the rights to Night of the Living Dead. Something he's not very happy about. It's a sore spot. Don't bring it up, because you'll just have a very, very bad experience. So that's something to know. All right, John apparently is asking questions nonstop. Okay, let's see. So what's a good suggestion for dealing with a guest that you're excited about but turns out to be a complete douche nozzle?
You gotta swallow that turd and move on. Yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? Tell him to fuck off back? I mean,
I do, but I'm mean, so.
Yeah.
Well, okay, here's a good question. I mean, Rebecca, has there been anybody that you've met that ended up being a huge letdown?
Yeah, and I can't even remember her name now because I was so excited to meet her. The chick from True Blood, the blonde. What's her name?
Paquin?
Yeah.
No, Kristen Bauer.
Kristen Bauer.
Anna Paquin.
Yeah, no, not Anna Paquin. No.
Really?
No, but she was such a bitch. Like, I met her at Dragon Con. Like, I went up to the table and, I was just being polite and stuff. And I was like, I'm really looking forward to, like, getting a photo with you. And she's like, that's nice. And I'm like, oh, you're just like your character. You are kind of a bitch. And I don't know, it was just a lackluster moment for me. And I kind of walked away. And there's that moment there, just like you receive bad customer service. You're like, oh, well, I'm going to tell 10 people that she's a bitch. But you know what? Maybe, I don't know, I caught her and she just really needed a drink or a cigarette or something. So I try not to take it personal. Just like
I have walked up to tables as a fan and walked away no longer a fan.
Really?
More from the comic book side of it, comic book artists and writers. I've been a little leery of. And I've had such disappointing experiences that I'm like, fuck that guy. I put food on his table for 20 years. This is a risk. This is a risk. Now I will say this much: with actors, you have a better chance. With any actor that comes from a theater background, you have a much better chance. The actors and actresses that come from a theater background, they tend to be a little better with being on point and being in, oh, I love you too. Thank you so much for coming. Who can I make this out to? So even if it's a placebo and they're full of shit, at least it's nice. It's civil. Okay, whether you believe it or not, you're walking away with something nice. The more of the movie star type TV star actors, they can be very wary by the end of the day. They can be worn down, and yeah, sometimes they can just be dicks. It's all about feeling them out. But I will say this much again: get a feel for it throughout the day and watch them. It's okay. Stand in front of their table and watch them as they interact with others. And if you don't like what you see. Right. Was that? Yeah.
So just like, don't do that.
Recon them, literally,
Yes.
And if it looks like they're having an off time, walk away, stop by again the next day. Maybe their flight was late or whatever. Who knows? There's a million other things. But yeah, exactly. Ultimately though, it's entirely up to you. If you want to tell them to fuck off or whatever, you could get thrown out of the convention.
That's true.
What are you gonna do? There are times where I wish that I could get the experience and then pay for the autograph if I thought it was a satisfying experience, but sometimes that's not the case. One time I ripped something up and threw it away 5 minutes after I got it from him. The guy was such a dick.
Really?
Oh yeah, I like my Old Spice. I ended up giving away my Old Spice with Bruce Campbell for that very reason.
Because it was a reminder of such a foul and disappointing memory that I was just like, ugh,
Well, but you could post it on eBay at that point.
Here's the weird bit. That same artist, I bumped into him a couple of years later, and he was sweet as pie. So again, it's just
you got his
bad day.
Yeah.
Bad day.
Well,
good day.
I don't know. It's very interesting. I mean, Rebecca, it's very interesting to say that about Kristen Bauer because she's actually one of my better stories. I went up and we were talking about how to get an interesting photo out of all these celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
I forget, I was wearing some ridiculous outfit and I had the eyeball dress and I had green hair and everything. And
a silly outfit?
I know. But I actually asked, I said, would it be okay? I said I was joking because one of my friends was actually very, very jealous that I was getting to meet her because he had a huge, huge crush on her. I said, yeah, I said, my best friend is really, really upset that I'm getting to meet you. I said, is it okay if we braid each other's hair as a picture and send it to him? She's like, oh, that's hysterical. Okay. So I've got a picture of me and her braiding each other's hair, which is just the funniest thing ever. So. It just depends. It just depends, I guess. But yeah, when it comes to negative experiences, sometimes you just can't parlay it into something positive. I try to make experiences so at least I have a good story.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're old and shitting our pants in a nursing home, you know what? All we have is those memories. And some of them, some assholes. I mean, some celebrities have been assholes. And I mean, the best you can do is just try to put a decent spin on it, so you at least have a good story to tell.
But
don't get thrown out of the con.
Yeah, but don't be afraid to put it on social media or whatever. Yeah. Don't be afraid to get the word out so the promoters and stuff know. Look, we got a lot of complaints about that guy or gal, so we're never gonna bring him back again.
Yeah, that's true too. That's also so. I mean, say something on social media, but don't be an asshole. Just have your moment, walk away, bitch later.
Yeah, take the high road. That absolutely.
Take the high road.
Absolutely take the high road. That's the best thing you do. And even recursing about it too. Don't say, well, so-and-so is a total asshole. Just be like, so I went to I just came back to the table and wow, what an incredibly disappointing experience,
Yes. Disappointing is a good word to use.
Yes.
Yeah.
A disappointing interaction.
Just as a reminder, up here there's the Q&A icon up there. If there's something that you want to ask us, then by all means, we're taking questions. So even though John's the only one asking, we've got half a dozen viewers. So, okay, here's another one from John. Do you think Malcolm will reject my request for a Caligula-themed photo shoot complete with genital mutilation and wedding night fisting? That's a tough one. Rebecca, what do you think about that?
I just want to hear him say no in his British accent, but I think he will probably say no to that.
I think Malcolm McDowell is the kind of guy because he's devilish. Is the best way to put it. He's got that twinkle in his eye. Yeah. I've met him once or twice, and actually I've got a good story here. I'm trying to find it. Okay, but this is the kind of guy, he does make time for every fan. He's very much like Robert Englund, where he makes sure everyone has their moment one-on-one with him. Made time for me to get decent shots when my phone was determined to do nothing but blurry shots, so that speaks volumes, because a lot of celebrities would be like one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a great story that says a lot about Malcolm. There was a friend of mine that did a podcast a few years back. I met Malcolm McDowell 6 years ago at DragonCon. I tried to interview him. He agreed, and then he pissed in my ear about everything. Wait, hold on a second. I pasted twice for some reason. Oh, yeah, then pissed in my ear about everything. I asked him to say a jingle for Just Push Play, and he said, are you passed out sleeping? Then you must be watching Just Push Play. Then he threw my recorder back at me and said, next! He usually charged $50 for an interview, but he told his agent to fuck off and did it for free. Then he unloaded on me. I felt honored. At the end of the jingle, he said, don't bother waking up. This is the kind of guy Malcolm McDowell is. So some people might misinterpret that as being an asshole.
Right.
He's not. He's just very acerbic.
Yeah.
And so that's something, and that tends to happen with a lot of British actors because they have that very dry sense of humor and that very sharp sense of humor, and a lot of people don't really grasp it. He's not being a dick to you. So you'll get a Malcolm McDowell story.
Also, they would never admit this, but British actors, they love the +2 they have to presence in America.
That's the way to put it.
They relish that, even if they have a guttural East End, the British equivalent of a redneck accent. Like over here, it's like, oh, you're British, you're so posh. Oh, they love playing that up. They absolutely all love playing that up.
And that's a good way to say it because we do have a number of the guests this year who are British, and and they will be acting like that. I mean, Julian Sands is another one. Oh, I already see the look on Rebecca's face there.
No, it made me think about something with the accent. How I accidentally dated a Scottish guy for 3 months, and then I was like, oh.
Accidentally?
Yeah, I did. And then
I just tripped and fell.
I was like, oh, the accent is just so amazing. And then one day I looked at him and you start to not hear it, and I was like, oh, yeah. There's dumb people in Scotland too, and I was like, this is.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Sorry.
No. But Malcolm is also one of those guys that you can actually see. He does a lot of interviews. He's done a lot of panels. So, I mean, by all means, check those out, and you'll see what I mean that when I say he's very British. Not just the accent, but he's very cheeky, I guess, is a good way to put it.
Yeah, so, he's got a magnificent filmography. I mean, I'd kill to do his panel, and I would just be all like, okay, we're not talking about Clockwork Orange, so forget it. Now, let's talk about Time After Time, and Flashman, Royal Flashman, and we definitely gotta talk just a little bit about your remake of Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm. You did a remake of Fantasy Island, really?
Yes, it lasted for one season. It still hasn't been released on DVD. The guy who I forgot his name. The director Barry Sonnenfeld was the executive producer of it, and Malcolm McDowell was the new Mr. Rourke.
I could see that.
It was very dark. Yes, it was very sardonic. People who came.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
People who came to the island sometimes did not leave alive or in the same condition they well, literally, it was like one episode the guy was like a total like daredevil, like thrill extreme sort of dude, and McDowell's Mr. Rourke was like, you're just running away from responsibility, aren't you? It's like, that's what you want, a life without responsibility. So he turned him into an infant and left him at an orphanage.
Oh wow, that's dark.
Yeah, there was yeah, and you get the idea that whatever Rourke was not there of his own volition. And his hench people weren't there willingly either, and at some point they tried to kill him once or twice, thinking if we get rid of him, then we can escape from here.
This is a Fantasy Island?
This was a Fantasy Island. It's about 12. You can acquire it through the internet, but it's really crappy quality or whatever. But
even so, but this
dark. It was whimsical.
About.
Yeah.
Now, this is the kind of thing we're talking about when you say, if you want to meet one of the guests, by all means, look up some of their projects. I mean, personally, I want to know about his theater days, but I mean, that stuff like that, that's fascinating. And I look up stuff like this, Let's see. Let's see. Well, Danny Trejo we talked about, and somebody described him as the Mexican Wolverine.
I can see that.
That's right.
I like that. I like that. I'm like, okay, Mexican Wolverine. I can see that. He absolutely loves his fans. He is very, very funny. This is a guy who also hangs out after hours as well. And like I said, he's very passionate about a number of things. So Danny Trejo is someone that we absolutely recommend meeting. Miko Hughes. I've met Miko Hughes twice. Miko Hughes was the kid in Pet Sematary, and he was also in Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I believe. He's very approachable. I mean, he's in his late 20s, early 30s, I want to say now.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, he's still pretty young yet. This is a guy that will absolutely hang out.
Yeah, I was in my early 20s when the Pet Sematary came out, so yeah.
That's true. That's true. Okay, but yeah, this is a guy that will hang out for drinks. He's a fellow horror fan, so I mean, he loves horror as well. So I mean, this is someone that you'll actually have a great conversation. Ask him about his favorite horror stuff. And he's all over the internet. So I mean, he's not only on Twitter, but I think he's on Facebook, Instagram, etc. So go research that, and you guys may have a common interest or something. And also, and I found out, and I don't know if he actually does, but he has Periscope. Now, I'm a big proponent of Periscope.
Yes, we know.
Right there. But this is one of the reasons I know. Yeah. No, wait, Patrick. What was that there?
Oh, this?
You got to read me. Yeah. That's one of the reasons I enjoy Periscope is because a lot of these celebrities will get on Periscope, and so you can actually interact with them one-on-one. So it's not just like a Q&A session that's in a panel or something like that, but you actually get to talk to them. I mean, it's a live streaming app where it's video on your phone, and you can actually type to them, and they can talk to you. So I've talked to a number of celebrities that way, and I just found out today Nico Hughes has Periscope, and I think that's really awesome because I would love to see the world through his phone or his eyes, his phone, whatever. But still, and Tony Todd is actually another one that has Periscope, and from what I've understood, he is hysterical on his Periscope. This guy, from everything I've heard about Tony Todd, he is a massive fan favorite. Everybody loves him. Everybody comes away with a story. If you don't know who Tony Todd is, he's done Candyman. I don't know. I mean, do you guys know anything else that Tony Todd has done?
Well, he
Sushi
was
Girl.
also he played he was it Lost Destination, Missed Destination, that
Final
other horror movie,
Destination.
Final Destination. He was the mortician who was like the voice of the Grim Reaper, saying death cannot be denied. You know.
Oh yeah.
I think of the third movie. So he's done a crap load of TV work.
Yeah, you just look at IMDb.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's 24. Yeah, just crazy. He did a little known movie that I'm gonna approach him about called The Man from Earth, which was almost like a play. It took place just in one cabin, and he played a college professor. And one of their guys was leaving the school and didn't really say where he was going. And they're like, "Why are you leaving?" And he goes like, "Well, if someone told you that they were immortal and they had been alive for thousands of years, and every couple of years they have to move on before people can realize, it's like they're immortal, would you believe him?" And it kind of spins off from there, just him talking. You don't know if he's full of crap or he's real.
Interesting.
And another weird bit of little nerd trivia note, it was written by the guy that wrote the Star Trek episode Requiem for Methuselah, which was about Flint, the immortal who had lived all these multiple lives. So
Now,
I actually... Go ahead.
I was like, did Tony Todd actually, did he ever Star Trek episodes? Because I kept hearing Trekkie references in reference to him, so I didn't know if he was actually...
Because he's like 9 feet tall, yeah.
The guy is big.
Yeah, the guy is big. He's done a lot of suit work. He's just because of his physicality. Done Kern. He's done stuff as far back as like Next Generation. He's interesting because he's done voice. He's a little bit like the original Lurk, Ted Cassidy, in the sense that his physicality has gotten him a lot of roles, and his voice has got him a lot of different roles that aren't necessarily tied into his physical.
Okay. And I had one note here, and one of my friends just said, talk to Tony Todd about pot.
Yeah, I was a little curious about that myself.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but okay, I figured it was mention worthy, so yeah, but I mean, everybody that has met Tony Todd has had nothing but wonderful, wonderful things to say about him. This is a guy like Danny Trejo that absolutely loves his fans, so that's also, very good to know. Now, another one I heard a lot of stories about, Patricia Quinn. Patricia Quinn, the best way to describe her from what I've heard from everybody is she's eccentric. She's oddly sweet is a word that I had to say. Apparently she's got very, very bizarre stories. She's the kind of woman that'll likely have a drink with you. And the one story I have here, we had an amazing experience. We were in line with one other couple in front of us. They were in a theater group that was getting ready to perform Rocky Horror, and were asking her tips on how to do certain parts of the show. She went into great detail telling them and us how to do the scenes she was talking about. Don't remember which one it was. But as they were about to leave the table, the girl said she was going to be the one singing science fiction double feature. When she said that, Patricia said, well, make sure you do it right like this, and sang the entire song to us.
Holy crap.
Exactly. I'm like, that's a hell of a memory. So, but from what I understand, she loves to go off on tangents. She loves to tell stories. So encourage her to tell a story about something. You might have a moment like that. So that's something to consider.
I have still never seen that film.
Really?
Yeah. It just, if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it absolutely right. Like I want to go to like a New York or LA screening
That's
with
fair.
a big A-list cast of the reenactors and the whole 9 yards. And that's not a swipe, because I'm sure there's going to be one at Spooky. Maybe I'll see the one at Spooky this year, because there always is one.
Yeah,
There's
and
always
and
one.
they have like 3 of the original cast members there. So
Yeah, there's a big chestnut at horror conventions, or actually conventions in general, to do a Rocky Horror Night, and
yeah.
I'd rather do that than the singing episode of Buffy, which someone tried to get me to sit through, and I was like, nope.
Not a Buffy fan. And then we got Rebecca's favorite here. We got Barry Bostwick. And like she apparently very interactive. He's remembered fans, like he'll say hi to them in the hallway or whatever, so he's very likely to remember you. And I have noted that he's very humble. I know your experience with him was completely different, but I mean, I guess that would be about accurate, right?
He's another tall fella, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's very tall.
Well over 6. And he's another guy too that he's a working actor. I mean, he's just done TV films just across the board. Yeah, I mean, you could talk to him about anything.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely one of those. He seems again like Tony Todd, Danny Trejo. Nev Campbell, I've only heard like 2 stories about her. She was very nice, very shy, and she's very tiny. So I guess she's kind of like Danny Trejo in that she's like this big. So I don't know. It's apparently I didn't realize she's weak. She's small. So, but I mean, her IMDb, her trivia is very chock full. I mean, she's led a very, very full life. She's actually a very interesting person. So this is why I encourage you all, regardless of who you're meeting, IMDb trivia, Google News, Reddit AMAs, check their Twitter, etc. The only other one, because there was a number that people didn't really, there was a lot of people really didn't know about. Let's see. Oh, that was someone I wanted to bring up. Stephen Jeffries. Those of you going for the Fright Night reunion. Exactly. I am going to yell at some of you now. Stephen Jeffries was the one that played Evil Ed. After he did this movie, as some of you know, he did a stint in gay porn. Now, little known fact, a while ago when Spooky Empire had a forum, and a lot of us hung out on the forum back in those days, and we were pretty rough. We were a very rough group of people, but those of you who go Spooky, you can imagine. Stephen Jeffries was announced one year, and apparently a number of people just went to town on the fact that he had done gay porn. Apparently that's something he's sensitive about, so he canceled his appearance because of what he read on the boards, because everybody was just such assholes about it.
Oh,
yeah.
Dear.
Exactly. So, yes, he did gay porn. I don't think it's something he wants to talk about. Just don't be an ass about it. You know, let's face it, everybody's had a dark period in their life. Some people more than others. Don't judge him just because, you know, that's what he did. Fine. He did what he had to do. He's done movies since, you know, and he's a nice guy. Don't be that dickhead.
Yeah, the funny thing is that I have got to wonder, this is about more of a geek cultural question about, okay, would people be giving him shit if he had done straight porn?
That's a good point.
You know, if he had done straight porn, then everybody would be wanting to high five him and stuff, and be all like, "Yeah, man, you're a horror guy. You did some porn, cool, woohoo!" You know, and again, contrary to popular belief, nobody wants to do porn.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do it, and if people, I take that back.
They're lying.
There is a young generation right now coming up that I think they're like. Pro wrestling and porn and stuff like that. These are things people had to do and they want to do, and now the younger generation is coming up with a crazy idea that it's something they want to do. But yeah, the simple fact of the matter is that I am glad. I think it's cool now that we're a little more mature, a little more accepting, and but I guarantee there's gonna be. It's gonna suck. I mean, I imagine that once or twice at every show, I think somebody is. You know, gonna be all like.
I'm sure he's learned to deal with it since then. This was a few years ago, so I'm assuming he's gotten a bit thicker skin, but still, don't be that asshole, man. Why
Yeah,
don't?
don't.
Why would you do that to somebody else?
Yeah.
You know. So, and let's see. Lisa
Ask
and
about his
Louise
poetry.
Burns. Does he do poetry?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure if he ever actually
Okay.
published a book, but I do remember a
Oh, that's
little.
interesting.
Yeah, remember a little footnote that when he left porn, he was writing poetry. So make of that whatever you will. But yeah, if I was looking for a
I know he's
chestnut,
done some indie horror projects too. So
yeah, I would
cool.
I'd
I'll
ask him
absolutely
flat.
look that up.
So let's talk about your poetry. Do you have a small one you'd like to share? You know?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe if you guys write poetry, exchange poetry. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just don't be an ass.
yeah.
Okay, Lisa and Louise Burns. Apparently, they just recently started doing conventions. So they and from the interviews that I've seen on YouTube, they are fascinated with the fandom. They're fascinated people even remember them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love the fact
yeah,
that there's still some people out there that had no idea that people would want to fly them out halfway around the
with the
world
impact that they have.
and take pictures with them, and they're like, wait, what? You know?
Exactly. And so, no, I think the two of them are going to be incredibly entertaining, especially since they're new to the whole con culture. Like I say, well, we talked about George Romero. George Romero was the kind of guy that he will sit at his table until every fan is taken care of. He makes sure every fan has their moment. I actually heard a story from somebody that even during his lunch, he won't leave the table. He'll actually have his lunch at the table to make sure that the line keeps moving and everybody meets him. So I've never met him personally, but I've heard nothing but that he's very, very much there for the fans.
That's cool.
Just don't bring up the whole Night of the Living Dead thing. So
Fuck the zombie. Let's talk about Night Riders.
Yeah, there you go. Apparently, and he wants to do a zombie comedy. Ask him about what he thinks about other zombie movies. He loves Shaun of the Dead, from what I hear. He wants to do a zombie comedy. So I think, talk to him about some of your favorite zombie comedies. I think that would be a good idea. Let's see, who else we got here? Butch Patrick. I've met Butch briefly. Butch, I guess the best way to describe Butch is oh God, how Patrick, help me out here.
Well, I've never.
He's not an asshole, so I'm not trying to say that.
Here's what it is. I've walked by his table. I've seen stuff going on, but understand his day job is a construction worker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which tells you where his career kind of went, and not to make assumptions about his lifestyle or anything else. I mean, that's just kind of he was a child actor, and people are asking him about something that when he was a kid, like what, 40, 50 years ago now, you know. And so yeah, as I understand it, he's all about the money, whatever. And I think he's got a.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
He's got a finite amount of stories, and curiously enough, despite most of the others that we're talking about here, there's really not too much else you could maybe try to offer him.
He's all about the monsters. He's got a ton of monster memorabilia, so he'll be happy to share stories. But it just to me it just seems like he's so much about nickel and diming people, I guess. And I get it. I understand why. It just wasn't a thing for me. But he's a nice enough guy. I've heard nothing but good things. What, Rebecca?
I was just gonna say, like, if you just want to add it to your bucket list of people you met, that sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, like, Pat Priest, and so there you go.
Yeah.
That's something to consider there. Okay, who else do we
no
have? William Ragsdale. What?
He's no Al Lewis, but then again, who could ever be?
Nobody could be Al Lewis. I'd love to meet Al Lewis, but that's a whole other conversation. William Ragsdale. I don't know anything about him. The guy that starred in Fright Night, the original Fright Night, which is the only one worth talking about. But I don't know anything.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know if he did anything else.
As Brewster.
Look him up. Yeah, look.
No, he's done TV work. He's
okay.
He's been again,
That might be something interesting to look up. What some of his pet projects were. Maybe some causes he's passionate about, something like that.
Yeah,
Amanda Beers.
He was on Justified.
Was he? Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yes,
there's something interesting to ask him about.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a huge fan of Justified, so
Yeah.
I can talk plenty
That's
about that.
interesting because a very good friend of mine, his cousin actually is the star of that show, so very interesting. But okay, Amanda Bierce. Do we know anything about Amanda Bierce at all?
Amanda Bierce. Wait. Which one is that? Which was she?
Yeah, no, she was the one that Marcy with Married
Oh,
with
yeah,
Children.
yeah, Married with Children.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's right. Well,
That answers that.
you know what? I wish John had made this show because I find it interesting that that Jeffrey and Amanda were both homosexual
Hmm.
at a time that they could not be forward about it.
That's actually a very good point.
Yeah,
I'd
if
love to know her stance on like Caitlyn Jenner or things like that. I'd love to
yeah, I mean,
hear her talk about current issues.
and she came out during Married with Children,
Hmm.
which
But it
was kind of
wasn't nearly as well accepted as it is now. Yeah.
no. That was incredibly brave, and
Yeah.
sometimes I almost think maybe somebody was going to out her, so maybe she had to go beat them to the gun or something to that effect.
Possible.
But yeah, she was always a delightful
That's
actress.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I'll
She's
be very interested to hear what she's actually like in person.
yeah, she was cute as a button back in the day, and she's a very
Yeah,
handsome
she
woman
looks
now.
adorable.
She has
The
a
other one, let's see, Pat Priest. We don't. Apparently, she's a big enigma, so we don't know anything about Pat Priest. Now they just recently added a couple of days ago Tim Capello. Tim Capello was the sax player from the Lost Boys. You know the song "I Still Believe." You know, all oiled up, muscly guy with the hair. He's going to be there, and apparently he is going to play the song Saturday night at like the party or whatever. Now, here's the interesting thing. I mean, he still loves his Lost Boys stuff. If you look up Tim Capello on YouTube, he actually has done a couple interviews, and the guy's very interesting. The guy played, he wasn't just flash in the pan that just played with Lost Boys and that was it. This is a guy that played with Peter Gabriel once upon a time. He played with Tina Turner for 15 years. So can you imagine the kind of stories this guy has from being on the road from like major icons like that? And the story about how he became as ripped as he was actually very interesting because apparently he was a drug addict, and that's what saved him. Is he was walking down the street and there was a couple blocks from his mom's house. There was a gym above one place, and there was a bunch of guys, and they pretty much took him in as one of their own, and he transformed his life, and that's how transform his body as part of his recovery, which is absolutely fascinating. So, look up the interview on YouTube, and like I said, I mean, Tim Capello, actually very, very fascinating guy. So, let's see, what else did I have about anybody else?
now what was it? Was it 3 spookies ago where the singer of the song shut up? Oh, he was.
Yeah, no, because Brooke McCarter, used to come all the time because he lives in Tampa. He was the blonde one
Okay.
in the Lost Boys, and then the lead singer, yeah, what was the guy that sang the song from the Lost
The
Boys?
guy that actually sang the song, and I remember
Yeah.
by the pool, him singing it, and there was just every girl was just
Had
hovering
the same look that Rebecca's got
all
right now.
all singing the chorus of the where the little kids were singing, "Cry, little sister," and all the girls were like, "Thou shalt not fall."
Oh,
And it was kind of nice. It was a nice nostalgic moment for me because it's been such a long time since I've been to a musical event where I saw a long-haired rocker dude and all the girls aflutter and like, oh my god, and it was
and
like,
that's how they're going to be over this guy because he really doesn't look that
yeah.
much different. And apparently he still wears like the same outfit with the chain around his neck and everything, and he
And I
plays
and I,
sax
wa-
very
I
well.
was I wasn't even I was such a nostalgic moment. I wasn't even jealous. Yeah, fuck Poison, man. They're a bunch of fighters. See back. They're a bunch of fighters. Yeah. They're no Iron
uh,
Maiden, man.
dear Lord. All right, now here the one guest that we haven't talked about yet was Julian Sands, my personal favorite. And I had to say, Rebecca's like, yeah, there's going to be a ton of that all weekend because the guy still looks beautiful. And very much like Malcolm McDowell, he's very British and he's very cheeky. He's like I said, he's got that mischievous grin. He seems very cultured and I don't want to say cold because some people misinterpret it as cold. It's just Julian has always been very cultured and he's a very aristocratic. That's just the kind of person he is. This is a guy who, he's got a vineyard. you know. And so this isn't a guy that like knocks back Bud Light at the local bar. You know, this is a guy who's a thespian. You know, so don't mistake that for being.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, yeah. But he's very very gracious. He's been known to be very flirtatious, so a lot of women will definitely have their moment with him because he knows how to play women. But it's very very nice guy. Once you get past once you realize he's very stereotypical British, you'll come away with a great story. The guy is super super nice, you know. So, and if I'm having him sign this, he's probably going to hate me for it. But a friend of mine bought me. I didn't realize there was a Warlock comic.
That's
Wow.
so cool.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's a crappy picture of him. Doesn't look anything like him. But
Hey, why not?
yeah,
Um,
but that'll be interesting.
we, but I don't want to because I don't want him necessarily lumped in with the Wonka kids. Rusty Joff.
Yes.
He has an amazing career.
Really?
Yeah, he's up there with as far as like little people actors. Like he's done everything. He's been in Star Wars. He's done. He was in Flash Gordon.
Was he?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
so he was one of them. Okay.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Helmet.
Yeah, he's done Doctor Who. He's and curiously enough, he was one of the Oompa Loompas, but understand he was the main Oompa Loompa. He was the one that was always like whispering in Gene Wilder's ear. He was the ones like take him to the room and have him stretch. What? No, I won't hold you responsible. He's that Oompa Loompa.
That's really cool.
And a brief bit of like shameless self-promotion. The Doctor Who podcast that I'm a contributor for, I was working that day, and my castmates interviewed him, and he said it was an absolute delight. Like he's always done Harry Potter. He's just one of those guys that he's one of the core four little people. Especially during the 80s and the 90s, where it's like, all right, get Billy Barty, he's unavailable. Get Kenny Baker, he's unavailable. Get Rusty. It was kind of one of those things. So
yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, you'll go by his table and you probably see pictures. You'll be like, wait, you were that? You know?
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll love to talk about it. You know,
Absolutely.
and that's one of the things I did find on YouTube is they have done a panel or two, and the Wonka kids do have something on YouTube as far as a panel. So by all means, watch that. And you have to remember Charlie. Actually, after Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he actually dropped out and he lived a normal life for many, many, many years until recently. He quit Hollywood. He's
a veterinarian.
Farmer. Is he a veterinarian now?
Veterinarian. Or veterinarian tech. I think of a veterinarian, but specializing in like farm animals, not just bringing.
Yeah, because I know he was like a dairy farmer for a while. Because I saw like an episode of Where Are They Now years and years ago, and that's one of the things that they brought up is he was in, I don't know, Wisconsin or Minnesota or something, like out in rural country, and that's what he chose to do. He dropped out and lived a normal life. So, I mean, that's something if if you're into farm stuff.
Paris Themin, Mike TV. He actually is a casting director.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so he's all like he's curious too. I asked him like, what have you worked on? He's like, well, I don't like to talk about it here. This is with client. You know, that's one of those behind closed doors things where you make it. But he might be a little more open about it now, or at least the process of it, which is a sliver of Hollywood that people do not really quite understand how quite that works, but it's a really amazing process.
Oh, okay. Oh, apparently we've got other people watching. I keep forgetting click over to the question and answer thing here. Apparently Tony Todd was a Klingon. I was unaware of that. Mike Reed, so he was a Klingon. So that's good to know for all you Trekkies. I mean, I'm sure Tony Todd would love to talk about it.
He's done a lot of Trek stuff. He's come back several times. He played a Klingon. He did the adult version of Sisko's Kid, a time warp episode. He's done voiceover work for a couple of Star Trek games.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay, here we go. Anyone know why the Wonka kids are at a horror con? Really?
Pauline Kael, in her review of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, called it absolutely a horrific film. And
Rebecca
absolutely
dropped out.
not for children.
Yes. And a number of reviewers have said that this is a terrifying horror movie disguised in candy. And
At,
that's the best way to describe
at,
it. Yes.
at its time, yes,
Yes.
it was a very controversial. People do not understand. It didn't get its cult following until like 10 years later, like showings on TV and cable, and it was really our generation, the ones that actually didn't quite, were just not old enough to see it in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
We were the ones that kind of created the Wonka nostalgia.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's and how do you watch that movie's terrifying. I mean, the boat ride. The boat ride is by far one of the more horrifying.
Boat ride is fucked up. The boat ride is flat out.
One of those horrifying, disturbing scenes in cinema history.
The chicken getting its head cut off, and it's not an effect. It was a real chicken getting slaughtered. I was like, I could handle the guy with the worm on his nose and all the silliness.
Stuff crawling out of the eyes, and oh my god, the imagery there was. I don't understand how people can not understand that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was
whoever asked that question, I'll put it to you like this. Okay, if Willy Wonka wasn't a horror movie, then how did Marilyn Manson carve 50% of his whole shtick off of Willy Wonka?
That's very true. Absolutely. Okay, now someone said he was on that celeb dating show. I don't know who he's talking about. Someone was on a celeb dating show? I don't know. Okay. And here we go.
Wrote that clarify, because I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Hope you clarify that. And Rebecca dropped off. Where did she go? I hope that we didn't talk her out of here.
Nah.
Because she was being real quiet too. Okay, here we go. Mike asked, how would you suggest a newbie approach a celeb? Honestly, like I said, I think it would make you. There she is.
She's
actually. You know what? You know what? I'll let her handle this question when she gets settled in there.
Yeah.
I love that profile picture there.
Yeah, so do I.
We thought we drove you out of here.
I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. But there, someone just asked, how would you suggest a newbie approach a celebrity? I'm going to give you that one.
Not like me. Oh my god.
Remember, you get a +2.
Yes.
Boobies?
You got the +2.
Don't try to tell me. Don't tell me either, you ladies, that you're not dressing to the nines, okay, in various forms throughout that whole weekend.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth.
Well, especially if I want to be in a photo with the celebrity. Okay, well, and that take that back too, because we are going to be at a horror convention. Are you going to be meeting the celebrity dressed in horror attire, or are you going to be meeting the celebrity dressed in, I don't know, normal attire? Because honestly, that's actually a reason I've not met a lot of celebrities or gone to the celebrity tables, is because I've been in costume, and I've always wanted photos to be with them of me like in normal attire. So for a newbie, I mean, plan your day. If you don't mind getting a picture of you dressed as, It the Clown, next to Malcolm McDowell, that's your thing.
That could be fun.
It could work, but plan your day how you want to do it, and just be relaxed. I think some of the tips that we've been talking about all night, I've been taking in because, like I said, it's a newer territory for me. But someone, if you look at the guest list, who you want to see, prepare. You just got to prepare to know who you're talking to, and just be relaxed.
And budget.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and budget.
That would be awkward. Yeah, stand in line for 45 minutes, and you're like, oh, can you break?
I only have $10.
Well, and for those of you that are too new about this, there's no PayPal, there's no credit card swiping a thing. It's got to be cash. This is cash only.
No, some of them do credit cards, but don't count on it.
Yeah.
Just bring cash. It makes it much easier.
With photo ops, you can sometimes charge it.
Yes.
Because that's a different sub kind of thing. But at the table there for an autograph and an interaction or whatever, that's usually a cash only thing. Usually, again, because somebody else is collecting the money, who actually works for the convention, and that's something else we should probably address too. Probably most of these guys are working off what's called a guarantee.
Yes.
Which basically
a lot of people misunderstand. They think everyone's getting paid $10,000 to sit there all weekend. That's not how it works.
They're not. Basically, what's happening is that they've struck a deal with convention management, and the convention management has guaranteed them, okay, you're going to make at least, well, let's say you're going to make at least $3,000 over the weekend. All right, which means that you'll make 3,000 with sales of your autographs or photo ops or whatever. And so if it's a low, for some reason, if it's a low attending concert, like we went to Conjure a couple of years ago, which was unfortunately bad timing for them because they had Tammy on the other side to it. So a lot of the guests did not make their guarantee, so the convention has to pay the difference.
Yes.
So to keep control of that, the convention has their own person taking the money and accounting for it.
Yes.
So that's what it is. So understand, it's not the usually when you come up to it to a person before you even talk to them is going to be all like, "Hi, did you want to meet Mr. Reynolds? Like, what would you like? Did you want to get a picture? Whatever it is." So you're gonna have to get that out. The nice thing about that is that you don't have to talk money with the celeb.
That's all.
Yeah.
That can
It can be awkward, yes.
It can be a little awkward. And the deal is, with some of the smaller ones, sometimes it might just be just them taking the cash. So just have it ready. And again, understand, don't take it personally, and don't think that, well, money bags McGee over here.
No, it's not.
These people do not have a money bin of money like Uncle Scrooge waiting for them back in Beverly Hills or any of that.
That's not how it works. There was just another thing I did want to mention, and you don't have to buy an autograph. You can go up, and I suggest going up when there's nobody else there.
Yes.
Don't be in line for an hour and then sit there and want to take 10 minutes of their time and then don't get an autograph. That's just rude. Don't do that, because I mean, they are there for the fans, but they are there to make money. That's their business. That's how it works. So if there's no one else around, by all means, go up, say hello, ask a question, whatever. But do that when nobody else is around. Don't be standing in line, get up there and like, oh, I didn't want to buy anything, I just wanted to do this. Because that's just rude, and everybody else is going to think you're an asshole. So just
true. And my own personal rule of thumb, if I don't intend on buying anything from them, 99 times out of 100, I won't go next to their table.
Yeah.
For me personally, I just feel like, oh, well, you're great or whatever. Now, what I will do is maybe I'll walk by and there's nothing going on. I'll just be like, hey, how's it going? How's your weekend so far? Like, oh, pretty good or whatever. Be a conversation. Don't talk to them as a person, not a celebrity. Don't go up to them and say, oh, wow, so you're this and I mean, if you just want to say, hey, what's up? How you doing? It's like, good, okay. And again, if they accept your offer and they strike a conversation up with you, then that's fair game. Now they may be trying to reel you in. That may be the case too. But again, that's up to you to kind of measure it and feel it up. And now I've done that before, and by the end, I've ended up buying an autograph or a picture from somebody I had no interest in whatsoever. But you know what? I was bullshitting with them for like 20 minutes, and I felt good. And you know what? At the end,
some of your best stories that way.
Yeah, and at the end, he said, "I'm not taking money from you. Take it."
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And so it goes back to the question of how do you suggest a newbie approach a celebrity? I mean, number one, do your research. Like I said, the Google, Reddit, Twitter, blah blah, etc. Do your research, number one. And number two, remember they're a human being. And once you remember they're a human being just like you, you'll get over that stage fright a little bit. And especially when if you go in now, Burt Reynolds, obviously there's going to be a line 10 miles long. We all know that. But usually what I do is when I get there, I'll go in the celebrity room and I'll do what Patrick called a recon. You go in, you just take a look, and once you actually see them and see them interacting with other people, maybe you'll take the edge off. Maybe you won't be so nervous. So, that's something else to think about as well. Oh, and we have let's see. Sorry, Butch Patrick was on the dating show. Yeah, Butch Patrick ended up marrying a fan. That was his big, 5 minutes a couple years ago. He was, I forget what show it was. He did a show where he dated a fan. He ended up marrying her. I don't know if they're still married or not. Do you, Patrick?
That's a new one. I haven't heard about that.
Yeah. No, I forget what it was, but some woman got matched up with Butch Patrick on some dating show. I don't remember what it was. This is a few years back now. But and yeah, apparently she was a massive fan and ended up dating. So ended up getting married. So.
Well, good on them.
Yeah,
Something else about the convention mechanics that go with this too is understand there's a schedule, understand there's rules, understand that they may have lines snaking around. So when someone in a volunteer shirt asks you to do something, or if you're doing your recon, you can keep moving, but if you just plunk down in the middle, they may say, we're trying to clear the room. Don't be a dick to those people.
Don't be a dick.
For two reasons. One, they are fans just like you. They're volunteers. You know, and Spooky Empire actually has the best convention fan volunteers that I've seen out of any convention that I've gone to.
Absolutely.
They and I am friends with a lot of them. I am friends with Dina, who is pretty much is
The Wrangler.
yeah, the Wrangler as it is, and she doesn't really bring on like jerks or prima donnas or just lazy people that are doing it just so they can get a free ticket. They are fans just like you, and they're doing a job. And trust me, it's not personal. They say, we gotta clear this area here, please. So please, can you make way as it is? Just do it. Just do it. You know, don't hold the volunteers up for enforcing a policy. They didn't make it. You know.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger.
Yeah, exactly. Or as I used to say when I was running stores or whatever, it's just like, I don't write the rules, sir. I just live under their tyranny like everybody else.
That's a good way to put it. Okay. Rebecca, was there anything in particular that you wanted to bring up about anybody or anything like that? Because we're going to slowly start wrapping up, because I knew we were going to go over time. I knew this was going to happen. I can only imagine what would happen if John was here. But, no, I'm sure.
Let me tell you something else about Danny Trejo.
But I mean, was there anything in particular you wanted to bring up?
No, it's an absolutely fantastic group, it looks like, coming out this year. I'm really, really excited as a person, not only just because I'm doing this podcast with you, but as an actual fan going to this one. The list of celebrities is unbelievable. So I'm a huge Rocky Horror fan. I'm just going to be blown away by the people I meet there this time. So
yeah. I'm really make sure you get with Patricia Quinn, and she'll have drinks with you, and you guys get to share lots of stories. I can totally see you as just like a crazy magenta. I can totally see that.
That was high school. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that. But it's one of the things that and we've said this before. One of the great things about this convention is that the celebrities aren't just separated from you as they are like, you know, a lot of the bigger conventions where it's like you have to pay to talk to them. You can't get a photo op unless you're behind some curtain and you buy some special level of VIP or whatever. It's not like that. We all have been to Spooky, and we all have a number of celebrity stories, you know, because this is as much for them as it is for us. A lot of them very often get as excited about the convention. And there's a number of them, and Patrick knows this, there's a number of them that continually ask to come back year after year. You know, Tom Savini is there regularly because he loves the convention and he loves the fans so much. I mean, Alex Vincent, I'm sure he'll be added to the guest list. He's another one. A lot of these celebrities, they keep coming back because of these fans. So just don't be one of these people that goes in and makes us all go, oh God, no. He didn't just ask that, did he? You know, or, you know, don't be one of those guys. And it's really not hard, but like I said, you know, do your research, be polite. If you need to go back and, you know, look through the tips that we mentioned here, you know, it'll help. And I could talk your ear off all night, as could Patrick and as could Rebecca, I'm sure, about a number of the celebrity experiences we've had just following those simple guidelines. And those are memories we'll have forever. So.
Yeah, there's two more things I'll add. Again, within a panel experience,
Yes.
If you're going to ask a question, if it's a group and your question is, this is for someone specifically, yeah, don't ask that at the panel. Go to their table.
Wait,
and ask
exactly. There's panel questions and there's table questions.
Yeah, exactly. There's panel questions and table questions. If it's a group, not that would happen to. This is a question for that twin over there, not for you, other twin. You know, man. You know, I don't think it's gonna be like that. But that drives me insane. You know, I hosted a panel with Eric Roberts and Paul McGann. You know, I had Eric Roberts up there, but all the Doctor Who fans were, this question is for Paul, this question is for Paul, and I was transposing it, trying to be all like, and a lot of them, weirdly enough, were related to the Doctor Who project they worked on, that I was just like, so Eric, did you have the same experience? Yeah, man, it was kind of like all crazy.
Eric's hysterical. I don't know why people wouldn't want to talk to Eric. I mean, he's read an incredibly rich life.
Something. And is something else about this weekend. With Burt Reynolds, this is going to be a little bit of a wild card. We are, during the day, we're going to see about a sizable minority of people that have never been to a convention, let alone a horror convention, in their entire life. They're
I
just
hope
there.
so.
They're going to be there with the Smokey and the Bandit, like
With
poster
the yellow hat, George Ferguson.
and all that stuff. And all I can say is be forgiving.
Oh, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I know. Well, let this
Especially as
way.
me.
If they act like an asshole to us, then it's fair game. But remember, we can
forgive them for they know not what they do. Yeah.
Yes, and who knows? They might leave with a positive experience and be like, I went to one of those things once. It was a lot of fun, And again, that's what makes Spooky different from the other conventions. Is goddamn, this is usually just an absolute 2-3 day blast of fun. Oh, one other thing. If you're gonna wait till the third day, Sunday, get it first thing in the morning because a lot of times
they tend to leave early.
Yeah, a lot of times celebs, especially West Coast celebs, they catch like an early flight. So sometimes they're like out the door by 1 o'clock. Like they're at their table for maybe 2 hours. They got their luggage is all packed, and they're like, "I'm sorry, I gotta catch a flight in an hour." Boom. So
yeah.
if you're gonna
Rebecca,
wait till
you look like you wanted to say something there.
Oh, no. That was a good point. I was just listening.
Oh. Okay, sorry. It's just you're so quiet.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
But no, that is a good point. If you need to get them on Saturday, that's fine. I always prefer Friday to get my celebrity experiences. This way, they know you throughout the whole weekend. So if they see you in the hallway, they're more likely to remember you. But that is a good point. Sunday is a wild card. It does all depend. Some of them may come out early. Some of them may just not show up till 3, sign for an hour, and then leave. Some of them may have a hangover. You don't know. But it's still, so Friday or Saturday, definitely get your autographs in.
And Saturday being Halloween. Woo!
Saturday being Halloween, it's going to be a madhouse. But you can buy an 8x10 at the table. That's awesome. If you're going to bring something, my personal suggestion, and you don't have to follow this, let's say if you have a copy of Arachnophobia with Julian Sands, fine, have him sign that. I've had him sign my Boxing Helena, but when you find weird and interesting things, it's a conversation starter.
Yes.
If you look up stuff on eBay, if you put in Skeet Ulrich, for all I know, there could be a Skeet Ulrich T-shirt out there for all I know. You bring that for him to sign. I'm sure he's never seen something like that before. That's something else that's a good icebreaker and a good way for them to remember you, and you'll have a story over it.
And they you succeeded when the celeb asks if they can take a picture with you.
Yes.
That has happened so many times.
John Casser does a lot.
Yeah, either I brought something up, or hell, my X-ray specs watch. Like Joel from Mystery Science Theater is like, that's an amazing watch. Can I take a picture of it? Like, sure, if I can take a picture with you. Yeah, of course. Come here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, when you get that moment of whether it's something odd. I remember a friend of mine several years ago at one of the MegaCons, Billy D was there. He had one of the original Colt 45 bar signs. He had him autograph it, and then he walked away, and then his road agent came running on up. It was just like, Mr. Williams would like to buy that.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Oh, that's
They were like, he will trade personalized items or whatever. It's like, not necessarily now, but I gave him his card. It's like Mr. Williams doesn't have any of this stuff, and he would like that,
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point. I mean, some of the people that messaged me about their experiences told me about personalized, custom items that they had. I mean, for example, if you're an artist and you do a piece with them, they might take a picture. I have a friend that's an artist that he paints portraits of, some of the guests. If that works, then you get a custom item, one-of-a-kind story.
And that is something that's a big point too. I will always say, can you make it out to Patrick, or now I said, can you make it out to Patty, please?
Yeah.
Sometimes that will give you a +1 or +2. They're always just like, oh, you want me to a lot of celebs are not used to them actually being personalized.
Yeah. They think you're going to go sell it on eBay.
Yeah, they're like, okay, I'll sign this, and then a year and a half later, you'll sell it on eBay and blah, 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 whatever. Okay. And sometimes they'll give a positive reaction to it, and then once in a while, they may just be like, oh, okay, how do I spell that? And then sometimes they just won't. They'll just like, there you go, next.
Yeah, actually. No, go ahead and talk for a second. I want to show everybody something. Go ahead.
As far as I'm concerned, I think you should always ask it to be personalized. I just.
I don't know if you guys can. Let's see if we can. I don't know if you can really see it there.
Oh, that's cool.
I have a massive wall, and I know it's really hard to see because, well, we just had our ceiling remodeled, so I'm stepping over everything. But yeah, many over the years, I've got a whole wall. You know, I've got Danny Trejo up there. I've got a number. You know, I've got Rutger Hauer. But yeah, so these are the sorts of things. I mean, God knows how many Julian Sands I have.
You met
But
really?
oh yeah. That was in North Carolina, actually. There we go. Okay. But yeah, see, so hopefully you'll end up with a wall like mine. That was over like a 10-year period. But I've got stories about every single one of them.
And if you're going there just to sign something for sheer monetary value, do us all a favor and don't fucking come to the convention. I'm gonna say that absolutely for myself. Well, I take that back. Come to the convention, buy a wristband, get your autograph, and then leave. Just leave. Because you got what you wanted, you got what you paid for, but guess what? You are not going to finance your retirement off of that or anything on else. You know, just remember, if you get something autographed that day, there's going to be a couple thousand other people that might have something autographed by it too.
I totally just realized I didn't click on my screen while I looked at the wall. Oh well. You guys get the idea. My whole front wall is all covered with autographs there, really. Record, you know, over a decade of like meeting these celebrities and stuff. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we've been going for like an hour and 45 minutes, so I think we need to wrap this up because I think you guys that have stayed with us this whole time, thank you very, very much. I don't think we have any more questions, do we? No, we don't. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you've got any other questions for us, just post it in the comments. We'll be happy to share any tips. And I hope the autograph price guide helped you guys, and so you're able to budget better. I hope the experience has helped you. Make sure you tune in next week. I'm not sure which one we're doing next week. I'm hoping to do the events, but there may be something in between. But thank you, and so thank you, Miss October 2015, for joining us this evening and being our eye candy for tonight.
What have you got in store, cosplay or costume wise? You'd be willing to share with us?
Oh,
before we sign off, yeah.
What
are you planning?
What am I planning? I've actually got a few things lined up for MegaCon, but spooky, I don't know. I'm gonna pull out something I think a little creepier, and I don't want to do the cliche Clockwork Orange that I enjoyed so much. But I don't know yet. I've got a month and a half, so I'll wait till the week before to pull out something.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see your Droog show up personally, but it's just I have selfish reasons for that.
What about you, Demmie? Anything new you're gonna roll out? Or is
I'm still hoping to. Well, because we're remodeling the ceiling, I don't know if I'm gonna have the funds to pull out something new. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Lily Munster may be back. I'm not sure yet. The Pink Bunny will definitely be coming out. We're doing our Cthulhu Cultists on Friday, which is going to be awesome. And then there's the slasher photo shoot we're doing on Saturday morning, and I've got something a little special for that. So.
Right on.
Yeah. So it'll be a jam-packed weekend. That's for damn sure.
Cool.
Okay. What about you, Patrick?
It was such a big surprise hit. One day I'm gonna roll Kolchak back out again, just because it's Halloween. You know, I gotta do that. If I can get if my makeup man is available, I'll try to do Child Catcher.
Oh, nice.
Again, that's like my Child Catcher is my nuclear bomb. I kind of don't want to do it as often as people like to say I should. Also, too, I got a brand new one that I'm still in the planning stages, and it's going to be another one that, by my research, nobody has ever done this ever. And it is absolutely vital to the history of horror motion pictures.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds great.
But nobody has done this character, at least as far as my research has shown. So.
Okay. Well, and on that note, I suppose we will say goodnight to you guys. Thank you again so much for watching, and like I said, comments, leave them below, and join us next week. And thank you guys, and buenas noches.